Hello and welcome once again to my channel. So these are the materials you'll be needing for making your dress. You need a hard net or a cancan net for making your dress fuller and for lining it. The lace is for the upper part or the yoke of the dress. You need your tulle of about 6 to 8 yards depending on the size of the child. And this is the bridal satin for lining the dress, for the lower part of the dress, and also for part of the bodies of the dress. So without further ado, let's quickly draft a pattern. Fold your paper into two for cutting both the back and the front together. Mark your shoulder line. Around that point is the shoulder line, and then your half length or waist line, and then the remaining one from there becomes your allowance. So from here to here is where I'm going to be marking the wideness of the neck, and from there, that is the neck across, and I have a shoulder slope of about 0.6 inches. From that shoulder slope I came down by 4.5 inches. You can go down by 5 depending on the size of the baby, and that automatically becomes the chest line. So in marking out the wideness of the neck, the neck width I'm using is 2.5 inches because the baby is quite small and I do not want the neck to be too wide. So you can go with whatever measurement you want. The one for the back, that is the back neck depth, will be 1 inches, and the front neck depth, I'm marking them together because the fabric is on fold like I said. The front neck depth will be 2.25 inches. You can go with whatever measurements you like and whatever shape of neckline you want to work with. It's perfectly okay, but I'm using a round neckline, so just connect both of them. Remember the paper is on fold, so when you are cutting, you cut the back neckline first before the front. So I'm just going to mark the bust or chest measurement, which is 20 inches. That's 5. I'm adding 1.5 inches, and then the waistline also is 20 inches. That is 5, and I'm marking 1.5 inches. These measurements are divided into 4 plus your 1.5 inch seam allowance. So just connect it like so. Then the next step is to find the midpoint of that armhole, that line on the armhole. Find the midpoint of whatever you have over there and divide it into 2. Yes, mark it and then just connect it to form your armhole curve. So I'm just blending because I saw it's too deep. So the armhole curve or the shape of the armhole for both the back and the front will be the same. Now for the yoke, I just came down from that shoulder, from the nape of the shoulder, by 3.5 inches. That is at that point. Then from the nape of that shoulder, the starting line, for the chest part, the middle part, I came down by 4.5, and I'm just going to connect it into a sweetheart shape. So this is me just finding the perfect part of the French curve to use for my shape. So here we have the yoke. So remember, this is into 2. That's folded into 2 back and front. So the yoke is going to be the same for both the back and the front. So the upper part is the lace, the lower part is the fabric, and that sign means it is supposed to be on fold. So the front is on fold, the back will be in 2 pieces. Then you also just mark your half-inch seam allowance at the bottom. If you notice, there is no dart on this dress because it's not really useful. When cutting, remember to add half-inch seam allowance at the shoulder and cut the back neckline first before you cut the front neckline later. When cutting your fabric at that yoke point, add half-inch allowance up and down so that you not run short of fabric. Separate your paper pieces. The back, remember, will be in 2 pieces each, while the front will be on fold, and remember your zip allowance. So here, just cut out your front neckline and we are done. For the lower part of the dress or the skirt part of the dress, we are going to be using 1 yard of bridal satin. Please have a full 1 yard or more so that you will not have joining like I do on mine. So the first thing to do is to fold your satin or your fabric into 2, then into 2 again in the shape of a triangle like so, because we'll be cutting a 180-degree flare. So after folding, divide the waist circumference of the child by 3.142, but before that, add 1 inch for allowance of a zip stand. That is, if the waist is 20, make it 21, then divide that 21 by 3.142. Mine gave me 6.6, so from the tip of the triangle, I'm just going to hold my tape and then pivot or rotate it to mark that 6.6 inches all the way around. So connect your line, and from that line you connected, if the half length of the child is, let's say, 8 inches like mine, put that 8 inches on the mark that you connected just now, and then complete the length. Mark the desired length of the gown from that 8 inches. Now the length of my gown is 23, so I'm marking it. Then start your tape from 1 inch again at the tip, and whatever you get from there to that first line you marked at the bottom, just hold your tape, pivot or rotate, and keep marking. So just keep marking like that. Connect your lines. So sorry guys, you might not be seeing this well, but because it's a white fabric, I do not want to make any lines that might be permanent, because this is a bridal, it's for a little bride and it's white, so please bear with me. So just cut it like so, and we are going to still cut another 180-degree flare, but it will be shorter. That is for the hard net, that's for gathering or pleating the hard net, which will just help our gown to be fuller. So after you've cut it, the next thing I went ahead to do was to just hem the bottom part so that my measurements can be precise. So after I've hemmed the bottom part like so, the next thing you should do is to determine how many steps you want the tiers to be. That is, how many tiers you want for the net to be gathered. Mine is 3, so you're just going to divide whatever you have there, whatever the length of this skirt is like this, just divide it by 3. So, and mark it, whatever you have, divide it by 3 and mark it from the bottom round, which is what I am doing. So for instance, if your own is 15 inches in length, just mark your 5 inches starting from the bottom all the way around like you see me doing. So you mark and connect. Then at the top part, which is the third step, just come down from half inch from the top of the fabric. So do the same for the other side. That's repeat the markings on the other side. So please, if you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much. So like I said earlier, we're going to be making a shorter one, which will be shorter than that first 180 flare we did. This one is going to be shorter by 4 inches. So just repeat the same process again. Mark your waist circumference divided by 3.142 like you did for the first one. Just follow the entire step like you did for the first one and cut it. But remember that this one, like, if the length of the first one is 23 inches minus 4 inches, so that the place you are putting your can net will be shorter and will not disturb the body of the child. So the same thing again, if you want the can pleating or the steps of your hard net that you'll be pleating to be 4 steps, 5 steps, you can just determine how many is your choice, but mine is going to still be 3 steps, so I'm still dividing the skirt part by 3, and that is what I'm just marking all through. I think I had 4 inches or so just divide it according to that. Do the same thing that you did for the first one, come down by ½ inch and mark, then repeat the same thing on the other side of the skirt. So we'll just keep this aside and go to the upper part. So here on the bridal satin, which is the lower part of the dress, of the bodice, you're going to put your fabric on it, unfold like it is, and just cut it. We already have all our allowances. I'm just putting the fabric weight on it to help me stabilize it, then just cut it out. And remember that ½ inch I marked there, that half inch I wrote up there is for you to add half inches or half inch to the top of that yoke, so that whenever you are joining it to the upper yoke, you will not run short of fabric or your measurements will not reduce. So just cut it like so. Remember that it should be on fold. Now this is what it looks like. This is the lower part of the bodice, and I'm using the same fabric to line itself. So just fold your lining piece like so, place them on top of each other, and just cut it out exactly. So these are my 2 fabric pieces. We'll keep it aside, and for the back, you can see the back is ×2, and we'll be including a zipper allowance for the back. So I just folded the fabric into 4 like you see me doing, so I can cut both the lining and the main piece together. So this zip allowance I'm using is 1.5 inch, which is what I'm marking. So I'll just place the back pattern starting from that 1.5 inch line, and with my fabric weight to stabilize it, just cut it out. Cut your back piece out, remembering to include your ½ inch seam allowance at the top, at that top of the yoke, so that you will not run short of fabric for joining to the upper part of the yoke. So just open up your fabric like so, and also at the zipper allowance or the zip stand. So I'll just keep all of this aside and move on to the upper part of the dress, which is the yoke. So here's my lace fabric. I'll just fold it into 2 like so. It should be on fold for the front part. Just lay it on top, lay your pattern piece on top of the lace like so. And remember that when you are cutting, you should add ½ inch at the bottom part of the yoke like so, so that when you are joining it to that other part of the yoke, it will not run short of fabric. I hope you understand. So we're just cutting it out, and then we'll do the same thing for the back. The back yoke should have your zip allowance of about 1.5 inch, which is what I'm marking. So just mark your 1.5 inch or whatever allowance you want to use for your zip, and just place it starting from that 1.5. So just do the same thing, and please remember that ½ inch around the yoke area. Then just cut your back piece out. Then open your zip allowance or your zip stand. Just keep all of this aside so we can move on to joining the pieces. So here you have the yoke and then the lower part of the bodice. The next thing to do is to join your yoke first, the main part of the bodice, the main fabric, and then use your lining fabric to turn the both of them so that the inside will be very neat. So first, join the yoke to the lower part of the bodice and use your lining piece to join or to turn it neatly so that the inside will be neat. Then just turn both the sides. I've gone ahead to turn everything, both the back piece and the front pieces. So the next step is to join your bodice at the shoulder point. So just place them together, right sides facing each other, and join your shoulder points. After joining the shoulder points, you can decide to use a bias strip or whatever piece of fabric. In my case, I use the same bridal satin to knitting or turn the neckline and the armhole area. So as you can see, I've joined the shoulders together. So just use a bias strip or any fabric, any white fabric of your choice to knitting your neckline and your armhole area. So that is what I've gone ahead to do. Also join your zipper allowance so that you can have the back piece and the front piece as one each. Then place them right sides facing each other so that you can mark the baby's measurements or the child's measurements and then join. or you can just take out whatever allowance you added initially, but it's good to just mark the measurements as they are right size facing each other. Then open your zip allowance. So that is what I've just gone ahead to do. I've joined at the side and opened the zip allowance. Then we're just going to put that one aside and work on the lower part of the dress. So we'll be starting with the shorter flare, and that's the one that we're going to be pleating the hard net on. So the next thing to do is to measure. You know that each of these steps is about 4 inches, or whatever your own is, but mine is 4 inches each of the steps. So the next thing is to measure around that marked point. Like for the first tier or for the first layer now, I had about 23 inches. As I'm measuring around now, I had about 23 inches. Now since my skirt is on fold, that 23 inches means all the way around, if the skirt is open, is 56 inches. But it's advisable to just open your own up completely and then measure all the way around. So whatever you have, whether it's 56 inches or whatever the value of each line gave you, times it by 2 or 3 for cutting the net. Then the length will now be 4 inches. So what am I saying? Whatever you have, times it by 2 or 3, and then the net will be 4 inches, or the whatever height you want for each of the steps. So I'm just going to show you how to pleat your can net or your hard net on your skirt. There's a little twist to it. It's not just using knife pleat or the knife pleating method. So for your own to be fuller, just pleat, fold it first in your direction, fold it to face you like so, and then pleat it on top of itself like I just did. So I will explain it again. First of all, fold it to face you or fold it in your direction, then pleat it on top of itself. So here it is again, fold it in your direction and pleat it on top of itself. That will give you a fuller effect. So you see, this one will consume more of your net, but it's going to be fuller and more beautiful. So just go ahead and do that for each of the tiers or the steps of your hard net. So guys, this is mine completed. All the 3 tiers completed. You can see how full and beautiful it looks. So this is the first part, that's the lining and the hard net part. We're just going to lay it aside and carry the main tool or the main net now. I'm working with about 8 yards of net. So the next thing to do now is to carry the longer skirt piece. You know, it's already divided into 3 tiers or 3 steps, and each of these steps for me is 5 inches, but I'm going to make it 6 inches so that half can go up above the line and half can come down from the hem point. So just cut. I've already folded the whole 8 yards of the net, and I'm going to mark or measure that 6 inches now. So I'm just measuring that 6 inches and I'm going to connect it with my ruler. This, remember, is for the first step, so it depends on how full you want each of the steps to be. I want mine to be a little bit full, so I'm cutting 2 pieces of the net for the bottom part. Now for the subsequent parts, that's the second layer and the upper layer, that's the third layer, we are going to be making it 2 inches longer than that bottom layer, so that it can cover, the second and the third step up can cover and come on top of each other. So that one is going to be 8 inches instead of 6 inches. I hope you guys understand. The second and third layer will be 8 inches each instead of 6 inches like the bottom one. So for the second layer, I'm just going to be making use of 2 pieces of the net on top of each other. That's why you see me cutting so many pieces. And then for the upper one, that is the topmost or third layer, I'm going to be making 3. I want to put 3 of the nets or 3 of the tool on top of each other. I'll be showing you what I mean very soon. So guys, I decided that I wanted the first or bottom layer to be 3 pieces of the net because I still have net remaining, and so I'm just going to cut it. So the bottom of first layer will be 3 pieces of the net on top of each other, as you can see, 1 2 3, like this. The second or middle layer will be 2, and then the third or upper layer will be 3 also. So this is what I mean. I want each of the nets to be on top of each other like this. So the long length you are seeing, the way I cut it, I want them on top of each other like this in threes. Then I'm just going to trim off any rough edges, and then run a gather stitch 1/2 inch all the way around. So this is it. I've already gathered it. So the length of your gathering, or the fullness of your gathering, should be regulated by the length of each layer. So this is what I'm talking about. I've gathered it and I've joined it to the first layer. So this is what it's looking like. You know, it's already looking full, and this is just the first or bottom layer yet. So you just go ahead and do the same thing for the second layer, and then also for the third layer, and I'll come back to show you what it looks like. So guys, this is our outer skirt completed. You can see how full and beautiful it looks. Please guys, when gathering and joining, then endeavor to regulate your gathers and sew directly on the line. It will make it beautiful and fuller. So let's move on to joining it to the upper part of the dress. So here we have the upper part of the dress. Fold it and get the midpoint, and also get the midpoint of the skirt part. So just fold your skirt part also and get the midpoint. Then lay them together, right sides facing each other like so, and join it all the way around. And I'll come to show you what it looks like. So guys, after joining the bodice to the skirt part of the dress, this is what it looks like. It's already becoming a dress. So the next thing we are going to just do is to find a way to knitting it and then join the hard net parts at the same time. So what you're going to do at this point is to carry the part of the dress that we have our can or the hard net on, like so. So you can see this one is going to make the dress even fuller and more beautiful. So what you're going to just do is to hold it, or carry it the way I'm showing you, like so, with the right side, that is the lining side of the fabric, facing the upper part of the bodice, as you can see, like so. So that the net will now end up being inside, the hard net will now end up being inside, then the smooth part will be the one touching the body of the child. So just hold it together like so and join it, so that when you now turn it, it will look very neat inside. So I've gone ahead to join it that way. I hope you can see what it looks like. So as you can see, the hard net will now be at the middle, while the knit part of it will be the one touching the skin of the child. So in order to knit in the sides, just fold them again like so. Just do it the way I'm doing it now, and join it at the sides. Then when you turn it inside out, you should have it knit like this, even at the edge. So it's also advisable to top stitch. So here is the zip I want to use. Just fold your dress into two like this, or hold it into two, then stitch around that side, the side where you want your zipper to stop. Just stitch it from there, and then run your stitch down to the length of the skirt to join it and fix your zipper. So you see, I've already fixed my zipper, and this is what our dress looks like. This is what our finished dress looks like, and this is how it looks on the body of our little client. Please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you another time.